So hello there, my name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and today we're making a blouse. Now I made this yesterday and all was good except for when I downloaded it on the computer it couldn't read the first part, and I thought, wow, I liked it so much, I'm going to sew it again in a slightly different fabric, slightly different colour, same sort of fabric. So I have my block patterns here. This was made out of colouring round a lovely fitted blouse, so I know it's the right size, and I'm going to draw the pattern first of all for the back, because the back is slightly bigger than the front, and then I'm going to cut it down. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to put a hem allowance on here because it's tricky. It's not tricky, but I'm going to need a hem allowance. So maybe I should have chosen a length really. Now what I need is I need 2 of the back, and then I need 3 of the front, and 2 of the front are going to be gradiated. So easy enough really, isn't it? Now as you know, slippery fabric is a bit trickier to cut because it doesn't always stay where it's put. Now I cheated, so I'm very naughty. I've actually pinned this out before I started so that I can keep it in quarters. So these are, it's a 1/4, and I have 2 meters of this fabric. I've got loads of it. So you can pin this down, or you can mark round. I wouldn't recommend marking round. Sometimes I do if it's a thicker fabric, but I wouldn't recommend it. So I'm going to just place a weight on it, and I'm going to make as much use of this fabric as I can. And then I'm going to cut round. So nice and simple really, there's nothing technical at this stage at all. I have my 2 back pieces here, and I've chosen to do it double thickness because I don't want it see-through. Lovely, and I know I've got pins in that. I'll put that up there. Yeah, when I was making this video yesterday, I was getting a bit... So, I know I need 5 backs, as it were. Now, what I'm going to do for the front, as I hope you can see, is it comes in slightly, so I'm going to trim that, and I need the neckline lower. So I can just trim this off. Now for one of my fronts I need it quite long, and then I'm going to graduate 2 of the other fronts. This does make sense to me. It's so that you can see it at the end. So I'm going to give myself a little bit more fabric. And then I'm going to cut round. And then I just need 1 of the other front. So, which I have no idea the best way to do that. Yeah, we wrap that around, won't it? I suppose I could have done this off camera. Who knows? I was just thinking. Okay, so I'm going to keep that all together and I'm going to take care of it because there's still pins in there, and obviously I don't want any little incidents. So I'm going to take the other two front pieces and I'm going to lay them out flat. Obviously I still need to cut them in half because I cut it on the fold. And then I am going to trim an angle. And this is just so that you can see that there is 3 layers really. There's no other reason, because you want layers to cover, if that makes sense. So that's that done. So now I have my 5 pieces in total and I can get sewing. So put them there. Now I have the sewing machine set up with a normal foot, and what I'm going to do is just change the foot. Now there's a little catch at the back and you pull it towards you and it drops out. It's very similar on most machines, so it's just might be an idea to turn around and have a look. And with my new foot, which is exciting, it's an excited foot, it's like a little loop thing. So this are great, because what I want for the hem is I want it to be nice and light. So, but I definitely need some way of sealing it so that it doesn't fray. There we go, I've got that plugged in and I'm all ready to go. Now, the best way to do these little hems is to put the material flat underneath so that it can sew a couple of flat stitches, and then when it's secure on the machine, just to lift up this edge and it will sort of suck through and turn it. And once it's got going, it's all very easy. Time consuming definitely, because I have to do the bottom of all 5 of these pieces, the armholes and the front. But as it's part of the design, it needs to be done. So, okay, what I've done is a bit of a rookie mistake. I've got all the bobbin thread caught up, so it's not very tidy. I'm just going to keep going. And you just have to keep an eye on it, keep it slow and just keep adjusting it. Oh, do you believe me? Oh, I'm quite a rookie really. I knew that there was a spare bobbin on the top, so I didn't bother checking the bobbin before I started. And it literally has done probably 5 inches of stitching, and that's it before it ran out. Let's get that out of the way, and if I hold that up you can see that it's quite a nice little hem, and then it'll keep the integrity of the fabric nice and light. Okay, I've got a lot of sewing to do. I will be back when I have all 5 pieces edged for the next stage. Thank you for watching. So welcome back. I'm just about to do the last one. Now I don't know if I should tell you, I am going to attempt to do the fast forwarding on the YouTube upload. So it might not be quite as boring. This is the only reason I didn't film showing it, because of, you know, this is all I'm going to do really. I've got to keep a close eye on it. I can't look away even for a second. And just make sure that it is going through the swirly bit. was the bottom done. I'm just coming up to the side. What I'm going to do is carry on talking just in case I don't manage to do that. Yeah, who'd have thought the computer side would be the harder side of these videos. There we go, just let the machine take it. Okay, so that was fun. I've done all my 5 pieces of sewing. Oh. Now, did I tell you that that wasn't the tricky bit? I think this next bit's the tricky bit. What you need to do is you need to lie them out so that they are as you would wear it. So you need the back facing out. And you can line up the shoulders and then line up the sides. That's perfectly feasible. Perfectly feasible. But I find this the trickier bit. I really do. So. Or you could just line them up one at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. So I've got my 2 back shoulders lined up. I need my biggest front piece facing upwards next. I don't know, it might just be me that finds this difficult. So, there we are. And there is a slight difference in the pattern. I suppose the easiest way to describe it is the sort of depth of the colour is a bit more on the outside. But if you'd gone wrong and you'd put one the wrong way round, then you could easily say that you meant to do it like that. So, yeah, there we go. And then I have one going one way and one going the other way, and all I'm worrying about is lining up these shoulders because I think it's quite tricky. And then I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to sew it, and then I'm going to line up the sides, and then I'm going to turn it inside out. It can be done that I just do one side, but it's a bit trickier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change these 2 round because the one at the front looks a bit tidier. I think. Yes. It could just be me, you know, it might be easy for you. But I don't like lying to you. Oh yes, just do this, it'll be fine. So there we go. I am on my last layer now. And that goes there. So what I need is a good couple of pins. This is why I gave myself extra hem allowance. Not for the hemming, but because of when I made the other one, I was really aware that I was using probably more cloth than I would usually use on a hem, just because it was tricky to line it up. But then you do want it sort of free flowing. So let's put that down there. Let's grab this again. So we need all 5 pieces underneath the sewing machine. You can change your foot, or you can just sew with this foot. It's entirely up to you. The only problem with this foot is that it doesn't sort of naturally sweep off the loose ends like it would on a normal foot. Okay, so I'm lining up my next 5 on the shoulder. And I suppose in a way the easiest way to do the sides is to give it a good shake. And they join up at the top, as it were. They're not all the same length down the side, obviously, because we've got the diagonal ones for the front. So I'm literally counting as I go that I've got all 5, and then I'm going to pin them together and then give them a good shake so that they're all hanging down, even though they're hanging at different lengths. And then when I'm happy, I'll give them a sew, because it is tricky. It's tricky. So sorted, another side done. The next step is easier. It's just this one that's a bit of a tricky one. So picking them all up in turn. One, two, three, 4, 5. Okay, yes. Measure twice, sew once. Because I'd lost one. And I've only got to count to 5. Shouldn't be that difficult, should it? There we are. I am in shot, aren't I? Wouldn't want you to wonder what I was actually doing. But I am literally laying these out, then making sure they're straight. I'm going to put them in the sewing machine and do some straight line stitching. this next step is we have to trim all these layers as close to this line of stitches as we can. This will just make the seams a little bit lighter. Now, back at the beginning of the video when we actually used the looper foot, and I said I'll just do a few stitches and then start sewing. So that little bit of fabric is now being incorporated into the seam. So you can't see it, so it's all been trimmed off. So it's all good. This is why I don't worry, because I know what's going to happen. And then I'm just going to do this one. Lovely. And then the last one. Rid of my waist. Now I'm going to lay the blouse out, and I've got this facing up. Now I need to turn it inside out by picking up the first 3 layers and then turning it inside out like that. Okay? And now I'm going to run a stitch along all those seams so I can sew in all my loose ends and keep it all really nice. And that is that done then. Well, lots of head on that. So yeah, just remember, get it lying flat and just pick up the first 3 layers. Okay, and if you have got any frayed ends, I've got one there. What I'm going to do is just make sure that I sew that in and I tuck that in at the time. Lovely, a couple of reverse stitches is the final seam. And here we go again on the next one. Now this is the inside of the garment. Yes, lots of loose ends because there's a lot of sewing in this, but it's really worth it. I think it looks really nice. Okay, so I've got all these bits. I'm just sealing in the seam now. I believe I've got one to go. Yeah. This is the ultimate test. It shouldn't be too bad. I have a thing about not being able to thread needles on the camera, but this shouldn't be too bad because I've actually got quite a big hole in this needle. And to sew this sort of georgette, you really should have a smaller needle. It has been fine up until now. And that was just because I was sewing with no fabric under. So there we are. Last seam. And fold that up so that it's tied in. There we are. Oh no! We were nearly there. Okay, now, if you found turning it inside out difficult, then you've got to do it again, I'm afraid. And yeah. So, there we are, the finished garment. I'm going to say thank you to watching, and please like, subscribe, And I'm on Facebook as well. If you look under Weekly Sewing Bee, you might be able to find me. If not, there is a link on the pages. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye now, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pause and put it on, but it might not work. Sometimes I get my head stuck and stuff. Okay, so I'm not here. Yes, talk among yourselves. And I've got a t-shirt underneath, so I'm a complete cheat. Oh no, can't find the head hole. Yes, I suppose it's always going to be difficult, really. So yes, sorry about that. Probably best if I didn't get changed on telly, on the vids. I'd be attracting the wrong sort of person then, wouldn't I? No, that's not in a good position. I think I should have cut it. Oh, I cut it. Ooh. It's on back to front.